I'm very excited to have an exclusive interview today with Marco Massarutto. As you probably know, he is the co-founder and executive manager at Kunos, who produces the Assetto Corsa franchise. They've just hit an amazing milestone of 100 million euros in revenue, and it's a big day for Assetto Corsa. I wanted to talk to Marco about the history of the franchise, where it is today, and where it's going in the future. So without further ado, here's Marco. So Marco, first of all, congratulations on 55 million in revenue from Steam alone and over 100 million euros in revenue for the Assetto Corsa franchise. I mean, this is a huge, huge milestone. Did you ever anticipate that you would see this level of success?
Definitely not. When Stefano Casillo and I started to work together, we had two goals in mind. The first goal was being able to stay in this business without the need to do other three jobs at the same time just to survive. And the other was to share with other sim racing enthusiasts our vision of what a driving simulation could be. But I never imagined, honestly, to talk about more than 3.5 million other people worldwide.
What was the original goal when you set out to create this franchise and this game?
Well, we always appreciated the efforts Polyphony did to produce something designed for car enthusiasts, before then for gamers. And something like that on PC was totally missing. So our goal was to create something for PC that could be familiar to the PC and console audience, with much depth, of course, in terms of racing simulation, car handling, also thanks to the better performance that a gaming PC can achieve if compared with a console. We wanted also to extend this high level of simulation of road cars, because especially on PC they were not considered at all. And I believe that this is another key of the success of Assetto Corsa, because the car enthusiasts don't want only to drive supercars in a racing simulation. They also want to find their cars. They want to improve their skill on their own cars. And I believe that Assetto Corsa, on this point of view, met their expectations.
In 2016, of course, you made that leap from PC over to consoles. What was sort of your reason for making that jump, and what was that like for you and the company?
Well, we were curious at the time to understand if an hardcore simulation like Assetto could find some space in the console market. But at that time we didn't have the experience. That kind of experience we needed in publishing a game on console. So when 505 Games paid me a call proposing us to port our simulation on console, we said each other, okay, now or never, honestly, and we did it. I have to say that at that time we had more curiosity than hopes to see what would eventually happen. And honestly, we could never imagine to get a console community as big as the PC one. So it's been an incredible and very tough journey, because releasing a game on console is far quite different than on PC like Steam. Not because of the programming itself, but for all the requirements you need to respect in terms of Milestone and submission with Sony and Microsoft. It's definitely a very big challenge, but far challenging than we could ever expect or imagine. But at the end, it went quite fine.
In 2019, of course, you released Assetto Corsa Competizione, and that was really it wasn't really a true sequel to Assetto Corsa. It was sort of a different game in many ways. I've always been curious about that. Why did you choose to go down that route and release that title, which was so different? Why was there a separation there?
Yeah, I would say for the good of our team and company, mostly, because we started to work on AC1 on late 2010. Producing our own engine from scratch, and eventually AC1 became bigger and bigger, requesting to us a lot of bugs to make the overall ecosystem working. On late 2016, we recognized that it was time to move forward. I remember that I attending the E3 in Los Angeles that year, And I had the feeling that we need to move, because at that time Gran Turismo Sport and Forza, the latest Forza Motorsport, were presented in preview at that event. And we felt that we actually needed to move forward. Also because Stefano wrote actually the 90% of the code of AC1 alone. And the risk was to get stuck on let me say, old technology that was depending too much from one single person. And Stefano was much more worried than me about that. So at that time we saw that a lot of studios, including Milestone, that is, I think, almost 10 times bigger than us, were moving to a Real 4 engine. And so we spent some time in R&D activities, and eventually at the end we decided to move to Real 4. Of course, you don't have all the answers you need when you start to work with a new technology, and it would have been too risky to produce an Assetto Corsa 2 with 200 cars with a technology or an engine that you have never used before. Through those years, our surveys told us that except for Formula 1, the GT racing cars were the kind or class of cars that were much more aimed from the community for a racing simulation. And we saw that the Astro GT series was matching perfectly our needs to produce a dedicated product and our car simulation with unlimited content in terms of number of cars and tracks. So this could help us to stay focused on the quality and on the gameplay, and of course not on the technology itself, because we were using a real. So Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, Aston Martin, racing on the most iconic tracks all around the world is a no second thought decision, and we're going for it. So that's why we didn't make an Assetto Corsa 2, also because Assetto Corsa 1 is still today very successful. We continue to gain new users every day, every week. So especially in 2018, would not have any sense to make a sequel for a simulation that was still so high. So we decided to go for a dedicated product. Also because AC1 in AC1 you can drive any kind of cars, from the old Fiat 500 from the 60s to the latest Ferrari hypercar. And of course, when you need to manage so different qualities, so different content altogether, you need to find some compromise here and there. Not in terms of physics, realism or handling, but in the way you can manage features or create features. With a game dedicated, a product dedicated to the GT racing classes, we have been able to go far deeply also, for example, in the tire model, in the aerodynamics, and this helped us to make a product that is, from some point of view, far more consistent than AC1. And this also gave us the experience to understand and to decide if we want to use this technology for the future or not.
You mentioned Stefano, and I know he was obviously, the driving force behind, the Kunos and the foundation of the company, and he's always sort of been a popular, well-liked figure. I know he's
absolutely.
I know he's since, moved on. Do you still have contact with him? Is he still involved in Assetto Corsa in any way?
Actually, a few months ago, after he spent some time in R&D activities for his sailing simulator, he came back to me telling that he had some new ideas for the AI algorithms for Competizione. So I said, what we are doing there, come in. And he worked on the algorithm, I think, for a couple of months as external consultant, of course, but we are absolutely in a perfect relationship. We share the same passion for sailing, so we are in touch also on a regular basis to share questions, suggestions about our hobby. He didn't divorce from Kunos, actually. After he spent more than 18 years, I think, on sim racing, he just wanted to do something else. but he also worked to make the team prepared and strong to work without him. I think that what Stefano done in sim racing is quite remarkable, and honestly I could imagine a better partner in business in my career. So we don't speak each other every day because the guy is busy on sailing and doing funny things, but we are in a perfect relationship still.
I think, one thing that I know a lot of people are interested in, and one thing we wanted to talk about today, where does the Assetto Corsa franchise go from here? What are your plans for the future and for your next title?
Well, part of the team is still working on Competizione. We have the new British Pack DLC and the new build coming out very soon. And we are also evaluating some new opportunities for the GT series because the overall operation has been very successful. At SRO, the guys are just enthusiastic about the work that has been done together. And now, very recently, Fanatec announced also to become the main sponsor for the series this year. So there are some things that we are evaluating because, of course, developing a product like any Assetto Corsa is very challenging. So we need to think a lot about the next steps. But we are part of the team that is working still on it. About the next steps or the future, as you can imagine, is a bit far too early to talk about it. But what I can say is that whatever the next Assetto Corsa will be, will keep his integrity and DNA as a genuine and 100% racing simulation or driving simulation.
That's good to hear. I know that a lot of people will be happy to hear that.
Oh, hopefully.
Yes. Well, as a developer, as a game developer, what are your thoughts on the new consoles? The new PlayStation and the new Xbox. Are you finding that they're easier to develop for? How do you approach something like that?
They are difficult to buy.
Well, yes.
It's difficult to find one at the moment. Well, we didn't make the porting of Competizione at our home. It has been done by a separated company that is D23, that is located in UK. So we worked together on the porting. And we know that on PS4 and Xbox One has been tough because they are console at the end of their life cycle. And Unreal Engine is a new generation engine, so it's very demanding in terms of performance. So they did an amazing job in terms of optimization. So we can just expect that the new consoles will make their life or any developer life easier in order to get decent performance on this hardware, because the hardware in terms of architecture and performance is amazing. On the other side, we need to understand that I think that we'll need at least another year or 2 years to see the real potential, like always happen with a new generation of consoles. I heard several times that this could be the latest generation of console. I'm not sure about that because honestly we can't know. What I hope is that Microsoft and Sony will let developers to have a easier environment to work with in terms of requirements and submissions and things like this, because as you can imagine, working on PC by this point of view is far more easy, especially for a little team like us. We are 25 today, so we grow a lot since the 5 people we were in 2006. But actually we are, I think, maybe the little team working the sim racing business, or one of the leaders. And definitely we understood with the first AC1 that making a porting at our own will be too challenging, because there are so many aspects that need to be cared of And working on this new console is amazing in terms of results or graphics, visuals, or gameplay you can achieve. But what I can hope is that in the future we could also get an environment that is a bit easier to work for.
That much power, it's nice to have that extra horsepower.
A lot of power requires a lot of responsibility.
Exactly. Yes.
And on the other side, it looks like that companies like AMD or Nvidia don't want to make the console life easier because they are working hard as well. So I think that the only thing that is good is that the consumers, the players, they can imagine to have a very bright future in terms of quality and gameplay in the next years.
What direction do you see Kunos going in the future with future titles? Do you think you will stick with Unreal, or will you build upon the original game engine that Assetto Corsa is built upon?
Well, if we left Unreal, we necessarily need to create a new engine from scratch. We can't evolve an engine that now is 10 years old. It would not make any sense. Also because people would expect anything less than the quality that Unreal Engine can achieve. On the other side, we can clearly say, but this is not a secret, that Unreal Engine is a generic engine that has a great potential, is very powerful, but is not definitely designed for racing games or racing simulations. But the racing genre has some requirements and needs that are very, very particular. Because in a shoot 'em up, if you have 30 frames per second or 35 or 25, you can still stay there and having fun. When in a racing simulation you drop from one single frame from 60 to 59, here the air is a nightmare. And also there are some other aspects, like for example the VR, especially on PC, or the triple screen support, that are not definitely secondary for a part of our community. And these are technologies that are not, let me say, or supported, because for example in Real Engine there is no native triple screen feature, so we needed to work around a lot in order to make it working. And also the VR is there is a big room for improvements in terms of performance, because on that side, at least with a racing simulation, is very demanding. So we really worked a lot in order to make it working properly. We believe that being a little team, we need as much flexibility as possible in the way how we develop products. And as Kunos Simulazioni, we are not just, let me say, a video game producer. We are also a technology provider, and we like to be a technology provider. So when we moved to a Real Engine, we lost part of our DNA in some way, because we were totally focused on the product, but we want to also to produce and create technology. So we are in our R&D phase at the moment in order to evaluate all the possibilities, because also Real Engine 5 is around the corner. So we'll make all the evaluation we need, but our focus is the gaming experience for the final consumer. This is the first goal we have in mind. We are used to listen to the community in terms of what they ask, and I have to say that we have a very big and strong connection with the community, because we always listen to them, and through the years they learn to trust in us, and they also gave us a reasonable amount of time in order to deliver what we promised. So there is this good connection that we don't want to lose, and in some way with the Real Engine has been really a bit challenging for us to achieve what we want to do. not because the real engine is bad, but because we need something different or something else. So we are evaluating what to do in future with in mind the experience for the gamer.
Well, speaking of the community, user-generated game mods, modifications has obviously been a huge part of the success of Assetto Corsa. I've always been curious to know what your thoughts are, as the game developers. What are your thoughts on that? And is that something that you see continuing in future generations of the franchise?
Well, more than one time we just watched what people did with Assetto Corsa, and we said, how the hell they did it, because some content they created is just amazing. I think that just a couple of days ago I saw a couple of screenshots on Facebook, and I guess that is Assetto Corsa because I recognized that was our driver character, that he wasn't just stolen from or ripped from Assetto Corsa, but he was driving a submarine in the water. So, and we already saw in the last 2 years plane just flight around the North Life. So what the community did is not just crazy, but they really produced some evaluated creations, mods, also shaders in terms of lighting, post-processing effects and things like this. So what the community did is just great. I think that is one of the keys of the success on PC, definitely. Funny enough, on console we don't have the modding at all because it's not achievable. And half of the community, or the overall community of Assetto Corsa, is on console. So we could also say that the modding is very, very important, but is, let me say, just one of the secrets behind the success of Assetto Corsa. But there are some people that work with us. I think that we have at least 4 or 5 people in the company today working as an employee that full time that come from the modding. Because they proved to be very, very talented, and we say them, what you are doing there, jump in. And they work in just a great way. So the modding also helped us to find the best talent in the community, and we hired some of them. And we created also, I think that not us, but the modding part of Assetto Corsa also created some talent and some other companies that today work in the sim racing business, because they proved to be very good as creators of content for Assetto Corsa. The only thing I don't like at all is that when I see content from other games ripped to Assetto Corsa, because I think that is just unfair. It doesn't add anything to the experience, honestly. And also is a mortification for the authors of this ripping content, because they are not adding any additional value to themselves or to the game. Especially because we know very well how it is tough or challenging to create original content under license, and the licenses, I can tell you, that are very, very expensive. In the last 2 years, I've been contacted several times, but from truck companies or car manufacturers that were going to sue us as Kunos because they believe that we created content without their permission or a licensing contract. So every time I had to explain that what modding is. I think that from this point of view, there is a big room for and margin for improvement for the modding community, because Assetto Corsa gives them all the tools they need to create original content that could be totally fictional, that could be real content, but they have a great potential that in some way can be still expressed. By the way, I'm very disappointed from the modding community, because I hoped for years to see a complete mod of the Walkie Races cartoon because I saw, believe I'm not kidding, I'm serious, because I saw any possible kind of content for Assetto Corsa, including Lego cars, And I was keen to see, come on, someone needs to make these characters from Hanna-Barbera series, because they could be so cool. And nobody did that up to date. So if you are hearing me and you have the skills, please do that. I will be grateful with you forever.
It's just a matter of time now, I think.
And I will talk with Hanna-Barbera to get the license, I promise.
Well, yeah, I noticed on Facebook a few weeks ago, you posted a message, and it was a video of the Nurburgring Nordschleife, and you said, "I think it still represents the pure essence of the Assetto Corsa vision. We'll be back." And can you explain what you meant? What you meant by that? What are fans supposed to take away from that message?
Well, this is a bit scaring. I need to be more careful because I feel stalked now. But well, actually, this was a gameplay video about cars just running at the Nordschleife, and there was road cars just in a track day. And when I say that this represents, to me at least, the pure essence of Assetto Corsa, I meant about the pleasure of driving. And sometimes, when you join a race, like the kind of races you can join in Competizione, you need to stay focused on the setup, on the qualifications, so on the race itself, and so on. And sometimes you are so focused on that you get the realism of the competition, but in some way, this is my personal opinion, you could miss sometimes just the pleasure of driving in a relaxed way, but driving. And I think that this is something that I personally miss, because I love also road cars. So definitely what we want to do in the future, we want to get back also on the road with the Assetto Corsa franchise, not forgetting the racing part, but we want to give more space again to the road cars. So this is what I meant, and we hope to do it at the best. Also because we gain a lot of experience in terms of aerodynamics, chassis torque, tire model, also visuals, graphics, the way how we work on the sounds. For example, that on Competizione we really improved the way how the sound environment work if compared with AC1. So this is something that I can't wait to see again also on the road and with the road and stock cars. Also because I think that we are at the final countdown before our petrol heads. We become a WWF protected class, before the electric engine come and take everything. So we need to take the last chance to do something interesting.
Of course, today, esports is a major part of sim racing. It's grown tremendously over the past few years, especially over the past year. From a game development perspective, what do you think needs to be done to take sim racing and esports to that next level? And what are your plans for Assetto Corsa esports in 2021 and beyond?
I think that in 2020, also thanks to the COVID, a lot of people discovered for the first time the huge potential of the racing simulations and games. We are in touch with the motorsport world since 15 years now, and if not more. And for a lot of time we heard them saying, no, sim racing is quite nice, is impressive and so on, but real motorsport is something different, is something else. And last year they discovered that it's not exactly like that, because except for being virtual, the sim racing can offer the same level of depth and competition and efforts also needed to be the best. And in fact, in the sim racing, also in the esports, there are always the same people competing for the first positions in the hot laps, in the racing and so on. So what we need to do, since now that sim racing in 2020 really exploded in a way we couldn't imagine, what I think we need now is to be more inclusive. Because there are a lot of people that would like to join the competitions in sim racing, not just with Assetto Corsa, but with any racing game or simulation. But they feel discouraged to do that because they know that if they are just 1 second or 2 seconds lower than the best, there is no way for them to reach and fill that gap. And sometimes they just give up. What we need to do is to work to create different classes of gamers and racers, so that they can feel more comfortable to compete in a series that is not a minor series, it's just a series at their level. Because even at Kunos we work on competizione, but even with the fastest guys we have at Kunos, they are very, very fast and far faster than me. They get 1 or 1.5 seconds from the aliens. That is something really, really weird to me, but it is the truth. So what we need to do is to create a system that can be more inclusive, also for the rookies that just decide to jump in order to do not get them discouraged, but to encourage them to join this kind of competition. I mean, in the late 90s, I was a huge driver of Grand Prix Legends from Papyrus. And it was a very challenging simulation, and I really loved to make my hot laps working on my setup at Monza with the Lotus 49. And at the time that I broke my personal record, and I think I went to 1:28 seconds in the lap, I felt like an hero. Come on, I nailed it. And then I went on the internet to see the other lap times, and I saw that there was some guy that gave me 3 seconds. And it was so frustrating, but at the same time I wanted to jump in my first online race, just because I wanted to compare myself with the others. This is something we need to do today with the internet connection we have, with the great games and netcodes we can achieve. I think that the kind of experience people can have is just wonderful. So we need to let more people to jump in, not working on the realism of the simulation. It's not there. That is the way how we can make the simulation more inclusive. We need to work on the system, in the communication, or in the way how the leagues organize the championships, because I can understand that sometimes they're keen to have the best drivers all around the world, but the newbies today could be or the rookies today could be the champions tomorrow. We can know, so we need to be more inclusive in that. About our plans for 21, we will definitely join the SRO GT series. Because it has been lead last year, it was very successful. So this year we and also the organizer, we have even more experience to do things and events even better. So I can imagine that there will be, COVID permitting, we'll organize some quite good event.
Yeah, looking forward to that. That's quite a big announcement in the world of both racing and sim racing. I recently saw that you hired Valerio Piersanti, and he was the former head of business development of Ferrari. That's a big hire. Can you explain why you decided to bring him into the fold at Kunos?
Well, because I know him by 10 years now, more or less, and I know very well his value because we worked very closely, me at Kunos and him in Ferrari in all these years. And except our very good personal relationships, I really saw how he got experience in the sim racing business, because he didn't develop only partnership in terms of racing games, but also in other fields. But I really like this vision about which kind of ecosystem between companies we can create, which kind of partnership we can create in terms of let me say, marriages between companies like Kunos or products like Assetto Corsa and companies like car manufacturers, truck companies, but also any other kind of big companies that could work and merge together in esport projects, partnerships, advertising, and so on. And we thought that it was time, since we are growing a lot, the Assetto Corsa franchise is growing a lot. It's not anymore a product, but is a franchise. And they need people that are very professional and skilled on other expertises, level of expertises, in order to let Assetto Corsa grow even better. And when he decided to resign from Ferrari after 16 years, I think, spent in that company, it was a no-brainer situation to me to tell him, to propose him to jump in. And since he really appreciated also the way how we worked together through the years, because we tried always to be with all the manufacturers very ethical in the way how we represent their brands, their cars, with no workarounds or cheating or doing something wrong. He really appreciate also the transparency we use in the way how we make our business, and he was happy to jump in.
I have one last surprise question here for you. I've always been curious about the Kunos logo with the cat.
Okay.
What does that? Where does that come from? And who is that cat?
Well, the cat is not a cat in particular. We could say that he's the first cat Stefano had when he was young. But I think that almost all the guys at Kunos loves cat. I have a cat, Stefano had 2 cats, and so on. And years before, we made a contest, a public contest, to let people to create the Netcar Pro logo. And there was one guy that won the contest, and he created a very good logo, and he worked as a designer. So when we needed to get a logo for Kunos, we wanted to have a cat in the logo, and we want to have an angry cat. So we asked Alessandro Cardinali to propose us some mock-up. And he came back with this amazing logo that as soon as we saw it, okay, that's it. We don't need anything else. So this is the reason how we had the logo. And the cat is black because I don't know in other countries, but at least in Italy, a black cat is a synonym of bad luck. So for us it was a no-brainer to make it black because people could remind it far better than any other logo, and it worked also on that side.
Well, I've always loved it. I love cats as well. I have a black cat, and so it always makes me smile when I see that. Well, Marco, thank you so much for coming on here today and speaking with me, and we're very excited to see what you and your company can come up with over the next few years.
Thank you very much. Very appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, and you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and that like button. We'd certainly appreciate your support. Also, we post news throughout the day, every day, on our website at gtplanet.net. Be sure to check it out. See you next time.